What is the wisest saying you've ever heard? It is easier to fool someone than to convince them they've been fooled. Don't do heroin, you love it. And I never have. Thank you, random bus stop guy. The world is changed by your example, not by your opinion. We judge ourselves by our intentions, but we judge others by their behavior. Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. Learning from mistakes is one of the best ways to learn, no reason they have to be your own. Edit, thanks for the silver, kind stranger, my first. Glad you all liked this little nugget of wisdom. I wish I could tell you where I heard it. Just one of those things, but I definitely enjoyed waking up to all the replies. A friend's version of this: life's too short to learn only from your own mistakes. Mon's version was learn from others' mistakes. Life's too short for you to make them all. Don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. Never do illegal shit while doing illegal shit. Only break one law at a time. My father always told me this, and to only break the law by yourself, that way you only have to worry about one story. Do you trust someone who is dumb enough to do crimes with you to know about all the crimes you did? If you raise your kids, you can spoil your grandchildren, but if you spoil your kids, you will have to raise your grandchildren. Edit, my first silver, thanks user. Edit 2, whoa, 2 more silvers and a gold. Thanks again, seriously, I feel really happy, you really made my day. If you call your grandma mom and call your mom Pam, you're going to jail. Chris Rock. Go home and take care of your kids before they rob me in 10 years. It's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That's not weakness, that's life. Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Edit, holy ducking shit. I just did some work outside and now this post has 17.5k upvotes and 3 awards. Holy shit, that's surreal. And a sincere thank you to the 3 anonymous internet strangers for giving me my first ever awards. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Just because you can, doesn't mean you should, and just because it's comfortable, doesn't mean it's good. My ex-girlfriend and I have been continuing to have sex after our breakup, and we agreed that it's mostly because we are some of the only people we feel physically safe, comfortable with. It's been in the back of my mind for a while that it probably isn't a good idea, and I'm still not sure why it might not be a good idea. One reason why it might not be a good idea is because it could be slowing or stopping the healing process for one or both of you. There needs to be space and time for growth after a relationship. If I were you, I'd cut it off ASAP so you both can start moving on. Might prevent more hurt, too. Edit, a word. Good luck out there, friends. To worry is to pay a debt of misery that may never come due. Accept inevitable outcomes, and do your best to change changeable outcomes to your liking. Worrying does nothing. Worry is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do but doesn't get you anywhere. Measure twice, cut once. Could have used this earlier, I cut twice and it's still too short. Have you tried cutting it again? Real wealth is never having to spend time with assholes. John Waters. Make time for planning. Wars are won in the general's tent. Tactics win battles, logistics win wars. Napoleon. Someone should have told him to invest in some winter coats, LOL. We have 2 lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. Confucius. The original YOLO. Never play chess with a pigeon. It knocks all the pieces over, shits all over the board, and walks around like it's won. Good thing to remember before you start an argument with someone. Follow your heart but take your brain with you. If you never heal from what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. Hate is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. When you do things right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all. God on Futurama. Every attack. Everything's working, what do we pay these at staff for? Nothing's working, what do we pay these at staff for? Business management. Successful businesses hope their staff frequently have downtime. Actual conversation heard between one of our upstairs managers and one of our staff. Every time I come down here you're playing with your cell phone. That's because I'm good. My top 5 favorite quotes: we suffer more from imagination than from reality. Seneca: it's silly to try to escape other people's faults. They are inescapable. Just try to escape your own. Marcus Aurelius: if you have a problem that can be fixed, there is no use in worrying. If you have a problem that cannot be fixed, there is no use in worrying. Buddhist proverb: the world is a comedy to those that think, a tragedy to those that feel. Horace Walpole: if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and thus you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. Have you ever read Marcus Aurelius' book of Meditations? It's one of my favorite books of all time. Stoicism is a wonderful philosophy. What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for a late pizza. I always interpret it along the lines of be forgiving of people, but don't let them walk all over you. Come on. He couldn't find the address. Who lives at 122 and 18? You're standing on it, dude. If it smells everywhere you go, maybe it's you. If you run into an asshole in the morning, you ran into an asshole. If you run into assholes all day, you're the asshole. Raylan. The true master is an eternal student. Anger gives motivation without purpose mastery. You belong in a museum. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. Never blame on malice what can be adequately explained by stupidity, or ignorance or clumsiness or similar. I don't know if it's always wise, but most of the time I think it is. Only look at another person's bowl to see if they have enough to eat. Similarly, you must only look down to someone if you're helping them up. Edit: I have trouble with words. People like people who like people. If you buy cheap, you buy twice. My mom said this to me years ago in relation to clothing, shoes, goods for your home, etc., not including food. She wasn't saying that everything you buy needs to be expensive, but rather that if you buy something cheap of poor quality, you'll likely have to buy a similar item again due to it wearing out, breaking. Really stuck with me as I transitioned to adulthood. Edit: corrected spelling of I. You can tell the size of a man by the size of the thing that makes him mad. Adlai Stevenson may be not the wisest saying, but one that has stuck with me. You need the dark in order to show light. Bob Ross. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Leonard Cohen. All it takes for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. My grandpa used to say extra little effort saves you from a world of trouble later on. Use some extra little effort to put things back in their place so you know exactly where to find them next time, so on. He's been gone for over a decade, but I still say these words to myself if I feel super lazy at it. Someone gave me this really ducking cool award. Thank you. I don't know what it is or how to use it though. I'm not a very advanced Reddit user. Wisdom is knowing you know nothing. That's us, dude. Getting old beats the alternative. Do not regret growing older. It is a privilege denied to many. My favorite take. You will always meet your destiny on the path you took trying to avoid it. Gotta love Kung Fu Panda. Time you enjoyed wasting is not wasted time. This one really helps me. My GF broke up with me about a month ago, and at first it felt like the past 3 years we were friends and in a relationship were just wasted time. But I realized that I had the time of my life, and that I am now a better person than I was before the relationship. Thank you for posting this great comment, Unagastavedit. His comment said, "Time you enjoyed wasting is not wasted time."